Hello everybody, it's Duckfeeding07. It's time for another video. This time I'm really excited for this one. It's one of the most fun I played in the post Pyrexia will be one release. And it's of course the brew with the gleeful demolition cards. New cards, new Kuldota Rebirth card, but slightly better because not slightly better, a lot better really, because it can also destroy your opponent's artifact, which is can be really important in Hammer Time and Amulet Titan matchup. It's a 1 mana removal for turn 1 Amulet. It can be definitely game winning, and because of it, I just had a really good, really good. Uh, matchup with Amulet Titan in games I played so far. I played 3 games against it, won all 3 times. Torpor Orb was also cool tech from the sideboard. I was able to play it, delay my opponent's ATBs from the Titan, and if when I don't need it in this situation, I can sack it with Rebirth or Gleeful Demolition, and then play the Bushwhacker to get the ATB from the Bushwhacker, and it works against my creatures, or I mean, all the 6 Bushwhackers, but being able to sack it in a moment where you see fit, it was very good. Also stops, of course, the Fury. It stops the Fury, and you can sack it in a moment you need Bushwhacker, sorry. So it's kind of a cool tech, but maybe can turn against you in some situations, but has been real good so far, so I'm keeping it. And other than that, we have some zero mana artifacts are really good in this deck. So in a lot of situations, I'm going with turn 1, play Memnite and immediately play Coldota Rebirth to get 3 tokens, then play the Goblin Bushwhacker on turn 2 and attack for 8 life. It's pretty aggressive. It's hard for opponents to deal with the wild board like that early, if they are not playing Fury, of course. Uh, even if they play Fury, you just lost probably like 2 cards for his 2 cards, and uh, deck deck is really able to stabilize after that, and even after they play Fury, you are still in position to do something. So of course, Fury will be losing play in some situations, but it's not game over. It's just very annoying because it can really kill a lot of tokens, but we can also make a lot of tokens with this build. And in my experience in games I played so far, considering this is all 1 mana deck, so we only play 2 spells that really cost 2 mana. So entire deck costs 1 mana with 8 spells that cost 0 mana, and 0 mana artifacts are pretty good with Gleeful Demolition, Coldota Rebirth. Often we go just to turn 1, sacrifice the Mishra Bubble or Memnite to make 3 tokens, and then just play Bushwhackers for the rest of the game. The same thing that can be done with the Thermoscript, Chalice of the Void, if we have spare copies and don't need it in the current situations. It can be always used to sacrifice it on Gleeful Demolition or Coldota Rebirth. So it really works well with the plan. Really cool sideboard cards for this deck. They're just exactly what this deck needs. Other than that, we have 2 Orvars for creativity. Deck was a bit borderline slow, and not that was creativity was a bad matchup, but it felt like Orvar is a free hate to beat very good hate. That also costs 0 mana, so all these cards are 0 mana here. Torment Script, Chalice, and Orvar all cost 0 mana, and it can be used to beat one of the most played decks in format. Torment Script, Chalice against Living End, Orvar against Creativity, Torpor Orb against Amulet Titan and Fury, and maybe something else. I used it in one situation against I can't now remember, but it was collected company deck, and all creatures had ATB abilities. Not sure what exact deck was, but Torpor just worked very well there. Other than that, of course, we have Shattering Spree. We have to have a post-board answer to Chalice of the Void, and Shattering Spree is just a really good answer. And of course, there is 3 Alpine Moons to be able to hate that. Urza Sagas, also Throne and Creativity, and Amulet Titan, and a lot of similar decks. So that's it. Really simple sideboard, simple card in the main. I played a lot of different iterations of this deck before I got to this list. I tried the new creature, exuberant something. It gets +1 counter, gets luck counter or all counter. Sorry, it gets all counter, and every time a creature artifact dies, and it gets +1 for each all counter it has. But in theory, it was okay with Mishra's Bubble, Gleeful Demolitions, Sacking Chromatic Stars, synthesizers, that kind of stuff. But in practice, it just didn't work as well as Foundry Street Denizen. Foundry Street Denizen is just incredible here. In this matchup, you're playing turn 1 Denizen, turn 2 into Chromatic Star, Gleeful Demolition. Denizen hits for 4, and next turn, if you just played Bushwhacker, he's already 3-1 again. If you play another creature before that, he's 4-1. So it works pretty aggressive. It can really deal a lot of damage. Sometimes it's a one toughness creature, so sometimes it's just straight with some token or something. But yeah, we just hope to have more tokens than our opponent, and each token with Bushwhacker will deal 2, and we'll try to finish our opponent with bolts, grenades, and stuff like that. So I just mentioned grenades. We are playing 2 Goblin Grenades, a lot of goblins in this deck. So Foundry 3 Denizen is a goblin, so all the bushwhackers, of course, and all these spells make goblins. So we are able to consistently produce goblins that can really work well with Goblin Grenade, and will be useful to finish our opponent in a lot of situations. And it has worked really well so far, and I think I found these numbers of bushwhackers and grenades and other cards as perfect for this build. So I went with 3 Coldwater Rebirth and 4 Gleeful Demolition. I feel it's perfect. Other than that, I have 4 Synthesizers, 4 Chromatic Stars, 4 Memnite, and 4 Mishra's Bubble as my artifact fodder to sack on the Demolition and Rebirth. So that's it. 17 lands, 3 dens of the Bugbear. Dens have served me very well so far. I'm very happy with them. They've been amazing. 1 Sokensen, other are fetches, and 4 basics. Mana base like this just worked very well so far. I don't want to change anything, and the deck feels really perfect. This list feels very perfect to me. I don't want to change a single card. Uh, the gameplay is really amusing. Deck feels strong. It feels like a real competitive deck for modern, and it's like crazy budget friendly. Other than fetches, of course, but fetches are a good invest for anyone. For anyone playing Magic, and of course you can always trim on fetches, play more mountains. It's not crucial. It's just slightly better with Dragon Rage Channeler to get that land in the graveyard consistently on turn 1 or 2. So that's it. Okay, I will now go through the gameplay, check out some matches, and I hope you like them. So that's it. Okay, I'll start with this match because it was I think living end matchup, so you can see just how well the deck functions without against deck that doesn't have interaction or a lot of this interaction, whatever. So I started off with Dragon Raid Channeler. My opponent cycles a few of the cards. I go for the synthesizer, exile the bubble, play the bubble. I had Demolition in hand, so I really wanted to play this and get Delirium as fast as possible. I was able to get Delirium turn 2, and it was it's a pretty common thing for this deck to have Delirium on turn 2. I kind of always have it in the 90% of situations, and DRC was just incredible for me in this deck, and I feel like other lists I saw before just really missed the DRC, and I think it's probably the best card in the deck. So they discarded my Bushwhacker, and thanks to DRC's surveillance triggers and the synthesizer, I was able to find another one and get the turn 3 kill before my opponent was even able to cast Living End. I got them dead, so a pretty good, strong showing. This thing will happen a lot against these Living End matches where they just don't. You notice that I mulliganed the starting hand with Chalice of the Void. I think it's better to have this kind of hand that does something, and the DRC is really good in this deck in finding cards. I don't know why my opponent boarded in Leyline of Sanctities. Probably they thought I'm playing more burn spells or something, but it's just a few bolts and grenades, and I think I even boarded out grenades, so uh, not a very good decision for my opponent, but good for me, obviously. Okay, so I have multiple decisions here. I can go for Rebirth turn 1, but I decide to go for General. I find the Chalice on the top of my deck, so I didn't. I left it on top, obviously, so. I play my Chalice first, resolve it, get the synthesizer, I get a land from synthesizer, play Coldota Rebirth, get the 3 tokens, get the Delirium again, put some creatures into the sideboard, being able to start putting real pressure on my opponent. And again, it's a turn 3. My opponent can't deal with the Chalice, and I have crazy amount of damage on the field with the Bushwhacker. I leave my opponent on 2. They are not able to deal with Chalice, and this is it. So even if my opponent was able to deal with Chalice, it, it was I had a pretty high chance of finding the burn spell to end the game or something like that. So that was it. Pretty quick games against Living Games. Both wins on turn 2. And now we can see other stuff too. Okay, playing first again. This start of Foundry Street Denizen into Culotta Rebirth on turn 2. Attack for 4 has been really good so far. In this situation, they kill my Denizen, unfortunately, but I got my 3 tokens on turn 2, so it was still good. I draw into Bushwhacker, so I decide to attack with everything. Another bolt in hand, 4 damage going on, so pretty good. I find the Goblin Grenade at the top, I leave it. I save bolt. They played Jetmir's Garden, so they revealed some information to me, which told me that this is probably a creativity deck. So, I boarded in the Orvars. I kept one lander. I kept one lander because I had the Channeler Memnite. into general, also find the bushwhacker on top, so I kind of just needed one land. But my opponent had the fire ice. Unfortunately, I played my synthesizer, didn't find the land. I played the bubble, didn't find the land. Draw card of the bubble, didn't find the land. Played another synthesizer again, didn't find the land, but exiled Orvar instead, which was definitely better, revealing information to my opponent. I got another draw, but again didn't get a land, so pretty unlucky. Just revealing information to my opponent, and that I have Aurora on the side. And so my opponent was a bit more careful on the game tree. I think they sided out the Archons or something. But yeah, this was game over in this situation. I was able to obviously kill the Archon, but at this point they had another one, so that was it. Okay, so game 3 against Creativity. Again, I was a bit greedy. I decided to keep this hand, the one lander, because I had the Chromatic Star to draw a card and the Synthesizer to draw another card. It's like a decent chance of getting the land. I went for the Rebirth, but just didn't have luck. I am playing just 70 lands, but still, I just need a second land. I don't need many of them. So I went for Synthesizer again, and still not being able to find it. So pretty bad situation for now. I just play my channeler, start playing my creatures. I'll have the Orvar so they still have time to draw something. I go for the Demolition, find another card with the Synthesizer, but still it's not a land. So I succeeded to make 3 tokens in the process at least. So that was good. My opponent didn't have... they pinged one of the tokens, so I was able to kill the Wren at least. Finding the second Aurora in the hand. This Aurora basically stayed in the hand for the rest of the game. My opponent never played the Creativity. I'm not sure. They had Diona in the graveyard. I'm not sure if they removed Archons from their deck after seeing the Orvar. But they never played the Creativity actually, so I'm not sure. I can't be sure. If they resolved Diona, yeah, game would probably be over because I was mana screwed. I didn't have um, early pressure I needed. So I just made a bunch of tokens here, draw another card, and my opponent decides to let all of this happen. I got another Bushwhacker from the top, which is great. Which is always great in this deck. You always want to draw the Bushwhackers, but I think 6 is a really fine number. I decide against attacking. In this situation, my opponent goes in with everything. So I suspect they're trying to go for Creativity, but even if they do, they can't kill me with Darkons, and I have the Orvars, so I decide against blocking. They go remove everything, but I have the Bushwhacker from the last turn. So attack for 5, put them on 4 life. I put them on 4, play Chromatic Star, play the Rebirth, make a bunch of tokens, grow my 3 Denizen into 4-1 again, so they definitely had to deal with it. Attack with my Bushwhacker, put my opponent to 3, had a bolt to finish the things in hand, but didn't want to play it into the Spell Pierce because they played the Spell Pierce, so they already played one this game. So I just wanted to wait until my turn, but they didn't even have the solution for the Goblin tokens, so that was it, yeah. Okay, so that was the creativity matchup. Okay, we will now watch games against Domain Zoo. Domain Zoo has a problem with the strategies going wide. I make a lot of tokens, which are then hard for them to deal damage with me if they don't have the Scion, because their creatures won't have trample. So I'll be happy to jump them all day if needed and finish the game with the channelers. So they have the really, it's really important for them to remove the channelers. I just had multiple options here. Play the synthesizer first, so what I'm going to get. But decided to go for the attack first, see the attack. And I already had a land and artifact in graveyard, so anything basically but a land. There are a lot of high chance of getting the delirium. I decide to go bold face, make my channeler 3/3 kill kill this, sorry, the Nakatal, and go the Bushwhacker on turn 3, put my opponent on 2 life, and they can deal with the tokens and the channeler, so they concede. That's it. Was pretty quick. Was pretty quick in this game. Pretty good hand. Pretty good draws. Okay, so again keeping a one lander, but I think it's pretty good if in this type of deck. When you have the channeler and the Mishra's Bubble, I think it's really doable. So I draw a land from the turn, so I decide to go for the Bolt to get rid of the Ragavan. I decided I really want this Kuldota Rebirth, so I didn't play the Denizen this turn, but of course Denizen would be a great play here. Just really wanted that Rebirth from the top of the deck, so I decided to wait for it. Crack the bubble after the attack phase, so I go for the synthesizer first. They exile the DRC. I exile Demolition, which was pretty cool. Sorry. I leave Memnite Black back to block the Tarmogoyf. But after they played Sun, it got haste, so I didn't really want it anymore in this situation. I played the Rebirth, get the 3 tokens, pump my Foundry Street Denizen, play the land from the synthesizer, I played the Bushwhacker, make all my creatures +1, kill one of their blockers, and just attack with everything. In this situation, they have to trade with the Denizen, and now they're on 4 life, which means they either need another blocker or removal. They didn't get it, don't have a Tribal Flames for a kill, so that was it. Pretty quick games against Domain Zoo. Okay, so we'll now go through a last win of this 4-1 league. Pretty cool league, pretty cool matches in my opinion. I decided to go Rebirth on Memnite on turn 1. So this is one of the rare situations where you can't play the card from Synthesizer. It's the only card in the deck that costs 2 mana, so was kind of unlucky. If I draw it this turn, it would probably win me the game. I didn't get it, it was fine. My opponent played the Shaman's deck, and Harmonic Prodigy survived. I didn't get my Lightning Bolt, so they were able to do some crazy stuff on their turn 3. Play the Emissary, play the Anarchomancer, get the Pyromancer Siege, of the collected company and still had mana to do stuff, so pretty hard for me to get out of this situation. Still, it wasn't a game over. Unfortunately, my draws weren't so good. I put a Gigant to hand, hoping to draw some Bushwhackers so I can trade with their creatures too. I decided to block just one here, but unfortunately get another land from Giganta. At this moment I found all my basics, don't have any more basics, it's not really that I need them. I don't need them. So from this moment it was a real war here. I was jumping, they had best chance of attacking with one creature because of the ignoble hierarch triggers. Unfortunately, they find a second denizen, which was really unfortunate for me because we both play a lot of creatures and they really can gain a lot of life, and I was definitely losing the race with the second Essence Warden. But I was still in okay position, had two channelers at this point, a lot of these tokens that can jump their exalted creatures, and had three very good attackers, and they also had to jump each turn, so it was a pretty even situation. I was probably in a slightly worse situation, but still okay at this point until now when my opponent top decks collected company. I top decked another land which just don't even get me next land. Though they also gained a bunch of life here. I got the Visionary, so another draw, which got them the second Harmonic Prodigy, and the second Harmonic Prodigy was really important for him. For them, every creature that enters the battlefield gains them another life, and amazingly, I succeeded to draw into another land. So, yeah, that wasn't going well for me. I needed to draw something quick. I kind of if I got anything really kind of like okay, so the third Harmonic Prodigy definitely lost me the race, and that was it. I was not able to combat them anymore. At this point, I also took some more damage and also had terrible draws from the top. No artifacts, but two gleeful demolition. So that was the game. That turn 3 was pretty brutal, and yeah. Okay, so in a lot of these situations, you got kind of really have to keep this hand. I have two synthesizers to try to get the second land, and have two bushwhackers, which can be really aggressive with it. So I kind of had to go for it. I decided to go immediately for the synthesizer. A synthesizer got me another 3 tokens with Demolition, and having 6 tokens is so great this moment because I have 2 Bushwhackers in hand, so deck not playing Fury really can't beat me at this moment anymore. So I got 8 damage through with another Bushwhacker in hand. They just played Witness, and another Bushwhacker was kind of a game over. So only one blocker. They can of course survive on 2 life, but chances of them surviving more turns is pretty low. They actually got the best they could. They played the company, they got the pyromancer, got the emissary, so got a token from the pyromancer, another creature from emissary, so they really had the blockers, had enough of them, but I got a third bushwhacker to finish the game immediately, and that was it. Okay, so That was game 2 win, so it was time for game 3. Game 3, another one lander, but a pretty cool one, also playing on the draw, so another chance to draw one more land. I get it immediately. So I have multiple options, so of course, always it's better to keep the Memnite in hand if you plan to cast the Rebirth, unless you, of course, have multiple artifacts. I go for a second channeler. It was a mistake to play Memnite here, but it was still fine because them killing me my Memnite with this member loses them 4 life, and my DRCs get Delirium anyway immediately, and with the top deck Bushwhacker, my opponent immediately conceded. That was it. So that was game 3, and last game against my opponent playing Shamans in Modern. Okay, so we're going for the last match of the league, the only loss. I really can't even remember what exactly it was. I will now see. Okay, it was the Druid. Yeah, pretty simple. I won the first match. My opponent goes for a Kadra. It was the Tyvar Druid new deck. It was a really simple loss. My opponent had a turn 3 kill on the games 2 and 3. I also had a turn 3 kill, but I think we'll see the matches. I forgot exactly what happened. Okay, I had the option to go for Bolt Grenade, kill both, but it's not really worth it. I must try to go face, try to kill my opponent. At this moment, I still wasn't sure what exactly was my opponent playing. It could be Hammer with the green splash for Havar Might or something. So having Misha Baba is always feels great with any deck really. Okay, what's happening here? Something slowed it down. This happens a lot with these replays. Just too often the game slows down for some reason. Okay, the bubble. I got the scry, so I choose to fetch. That didn't want to draw into another land. I play my synthesizer in this situation. I'm trying to find more threats to get some tokens. I should have played the synthesizer first, definitely. But it wasn't so important anyway because I had another land in hand, so I didn't have much use of them. It was fine though. I decided to just pass the turn in this situation, hold the bolt, plan to kill this giver of runes. Just a second. Okay, so my opponent just passes the turn, nothing's really happening. I go for Bolt on Giver. I definitely need to get rid of this Giver anyway, so going Bolt feels okay. I know they have a Kadra in hand at this point. Drawing a DRC, it always feels great in this deck. They'll definitely play Kadra, so my plan is kind of hoping them to attack with Kadra so I can get more damage through with my creatures. Okay, I just play my Chromatic Star. They put down their Caldra. They attack me with. Sorry. They attack me. Sorry, now it's too fast. I clicked this too many times. Sorry. This didn't work out as well as I wanted it. I was able to. I was able to play a Bushwhacker, attack my opponent, and then make some more tokens on my turn and finish my opponent with a Goblin Grenade. It's not important, just this replay sometimes makes these kind of problems, but it's fine. My opponent got the Devoted and Vizier on the field with the Longbow and the Luxior, but they didn't have haste, so no tower. They weren't able to win. Okay, so this was a win for me on the game 1, and games 2 and 3 were pretty simple. I had mulliganed game 1. I got some sideboard cards. I boarded in because I was playing second, so I was expecting to be a bit slower. Alpine Moon can be always definitely be good against Urza Saga decks, but in this situation it definitely wasn't, as I just really needed the bolt. I didn't get it. I tried to scry to get it, but it didn't work out. Also, they played the Luxior, the Longbow, some other artifacts like this one, and constructs. So I think I boarded in 1 or 2 Shattering Sprees. Didn't work out. They just had the Vizier and Devoted Vizier and Ballista on their next turn, so it was a turn 3 kill. Just needed the bolt. Okay, so they played the Vizier, got the infinite mana. Yeah, they got the infinite mana, played the Ballista, and that was it. So we can check the game 3, but it was the same as game 2. After successfully, I had to mulligan to 6. I had a decent hand here. I was able to play the Denizen, go a star Demolition on turn 2, attack for 4, and make 3 tokens. So pretty cool, pretty cool. It's really good. My opponent was able to trade with the Denizen because they had the Giver, and I had a Bushwhacker, had actually 2 Bushwhackers. So next turn they would probably die with another Bushwhacker ability, but again they had the Vizier, and they had a Vizier, so that was it. Had a Longbow to equip here, so really wasn't able to do anything. Just needed the bolt in one of these 2 games to probably win the match, but I didn't get it. It's fine. So sometimes these things happen, and that's it. Okay, that was the entire league. I played a lot of games with this deck. It's pretty quick. You can play the entire league in maybe hour and a half and or maybe 2 hours. So you can really play quick leagues with it and have finished a lot of games quickly, and had a lot of 3-2 leagues, had a lot of 4-1 leagues. Worst I got in a few situations was 2-3 leagues in the beginning when my list wasn't completely over and had some not ideal cards in the main and not ideal sideboard. And I feel like this list now is really well um, well shaped. I really like all the card inclusions. All of the cards felt great in the deck, and the numbers feels like very good, very well tweaked. And I think what's missing from the similar lists I saw online is definitely the Dragon Rage channelers. The Dragon Rage channeler, I think if you could see um, in the match is one of the best cards in the deck. It's always get Delirium on turn 2 with this deck. Or each spell costs 1 mana, a lot of non-creature spells, and the except for Denizens and the Bushwhackers, all basically all deck is non-creature and everything costs 1 or 0 mana. So really easy to get Delirium, and you just I kind of struggled with the land in a few situations, but that was just because I had a pretty good hand with the DRCs, bubbles, and I still succeeded to win most of them in the end. And just having all this card draw with this chromatic star, synthesizers, bubbles, channelers, surveilling, really enables to keep those, and it just also not just that, but it also enables a bit of a mid game and the late game, and gets you some grind. And if the game lasts more than 6-7 turns, it's not just game over like it was the deal before with the old 8-pack decks. So it really has the potential to draw into experimental synthesizer, into gleeful demolition, make 3 tokens, then get another draw, and another synthesizer can then snowball into more stuff, and can really get you back into the game with just 1-2 good top decks from the top. Can really make a strong board in very quickly. So I think definitely this deck feels like a very solid option right now in modern, and it feels like it's a very real competitive deck option for modern, and it's a good thing about it. I think it's really cheap. So of course, if there's any sideboard or mainboard cards that are expensive, they can be very easily replaced with another options, budget options, but still it's a very a main deck without fetch lands is pretty budget, and of course a number of fetches can be trimmed if you're building this deck. Dens are not that expensive, so other than that, uh, it's just basics and Kenzen. And on the sideboard, maybe Shards of the Voids are worth something, and Orvars and Alpine Moons, but not that much really. So it's all pretty acceptable, and other cards from the main are mostly common and uncommon, so don't really cost much. So one of the I think one of the it could this could possibly be one of the best budget decks to play in this moment, except for probably Burn. And of course, Proves is always fun and nice, but really solid budget option. But not just it's not just a solid budget option, but also it feels like this deck is really a competitive deck in modern, and can win you a huge amount of games. And I was able to get a pretty solid win rate. Uh, and okay, so the one, of course, you can compare this deck to the 8 Blast deck. So this version doesn't play Saga. It's a more aggressive version. You're trying to finish the game before they are, and so you really don't want Saga. messing up your mana and possibility of going turn 2 Goblin Bushwhacker with your free spells like Mishra's Bubble, Mem Knight. And okay, so that's it. That's it. I think I said most of the most important stuff. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and the video. If you want to help the channel, click like and subscribe. And that's it for this time. So bye.